Hey there, everybody in St. Petersburg and YouTube land. We are WordPress Tampa Bay, WordPress St. Petersburg, and you are here for our Ask Us Anything Crowdsourcing WordPress Support Workshop. We are, as I said, WordPress St. Petersburg. I am Jim True. I'm the lead organizer, and below me you'll see Travis Lopes and Elaine Simbor, WordPress St. Petersburg. Jen Novak should be joining us shortly. We meet monthly on the first Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. online only through 2021 until we know what's going to happen with all of this stuff. Our Meetup website is meetup.com, WordPress St. Petersburg with hyphens in between each of those. The website is wptampabay.org. On the website, we have our communication channels listed on the front page, links to our Slack chat, to our Facebook group, and to all of our meetups. We are a member of the WordPress Tampa Bay Network, which is a loosely affiliated group of meetups that meet throughout Tampa Bay. It's St. Petersburg, Tampa, Newport Richey, and Brandon, Valrico. At present, we're the ones that are meeting the most, but luckily I think Newport Richey is going to be meeting in May and June, or at least they have two things on the schedule. I'm clicking the wrong button. Hang on a second. All right, upcoming meetups and events. On May 4th, we're doing our Getting Things Done, Project Management, Scoping, Working with Clients, and Projects Tech Panel discussion. We were going to do this in April, and I didn't get my stuff together and didn't schedule it in time, so it's now bumped to May 4th. We will definitely try to get the notes out on it this time and get people questions going so that we have some good content to pull together at that time. It should be a very informative talk. Most of us on the call have worked with either an agency or been freelancers ourselves or worked with, larger companies, and we've all done projects. So if you're a client trying to get things done, working with a web agency or a freelancer, and you've got questions about how to make that process go smoother, or if you're an agency or a freelancer or an entrepreneur trying to do that, or you're just yourself trying to get things done faster or better and in a more efficient manner and make sure that you actually stay on task and you don't get overwhelmed by scope creep and everything else, this talk will be for you, and that should be very fun. In June, actually May 11th, I don't have it in the slides here, but May 11th, Newport Richey is doing a virtual May get-together. It'll be a Tuesday, May 11th at 7 p.m. And then we are doing our next Ask Us Anything on June 1st, and it will be at the same time frame at 6:30 p.m. And then Newport Richey will be doing another virtual June get-together on June 8th at 7 p.m. So you got 2 Tuesdays back to back. If you can't make it to ours, make it to theirs. So that's how that works. Okay. Tonight we are looking for speakers. We're always happy to hear suggestions for good talks, for good topics to talk about. So if you're interested in doing a discussion or a conversation or being on a panel about WordPress, web design, front-end, back-end, plugin reviews, theme reviews, anything pertinent to web design, WordPress, entrepreneurship, what have you, we're interested. If you've never spoken public before, no problem. The audience, while we may be able to be seen by everybody in YouTube, the only people looking at you on this call are the 3 of us, or 4 of us when Jen pops in. So don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Nobody sees you. Just keep your pants on. It's great for your resume, your LinkedIn, or your Twitter. And if you're interested, go to our website at wptampabay.org/speakers/call. There's a link at the very top of the screen of the menu. All right, our code of conduct for tonight. There are no stupid questions except the one you didn't ask. We want to help you, and we can't help you if you don't ask a question. We're going to limit our discussion on questions to about 10 to 15 minutes so that we don't basically take over the entire call. And any more than that, honestly, and you should be hiring a consultant for the work. And everyone gets to speak on the calls, but please watch your crosstalk. Since we're online and we're all on funny little speakers and headphones and stuff, it's very easy for audio to step all over each other. So just be careful to keep an eye on when people are talking. Our dial-in etiquette, we're using StreamYard, and an invite link is posted on Facebook and YouTube chat. I just realized, well, it's definitely on Facebook. I need to throw one into YouTube. I will be doing that right now. My bad. First, to make sure you want to make sure that you read the guest instructions, which are shown when you sign into StreamYard, and you want to make sure that you got your connection configured properly, and you've tested your mic and speakers, which they give you a little screen to do that. You also want to make sure that if you're watching the stream through Facebook, or you've got it on YouTube, that you mute the audio on those windows where Facebook or YouTube is, because you will end up creating a gigantic echo chamber, and it'll be a nightmare on the call, and we'll have to mute you. So give me a second, and I will get our invite link put out there on YouTube, and update it and show it on the screen here too. There it is on that one, and here we go. Okay. The dial-in link is streamyard.com/P7MHAXGKY9. So, and the link has been posted into YouTube comments, which also should have gone to Facebook. Okay. We are ready to get started. Questions! Ask us anything. So we're going to pull directly from our Meetup group first. And our first question we got was from Marilyn Warren. And it was, I'd like to have a volunteer to be responsible for creating new users. Oh, hang on a second. From the front end. What are ways that I can do that? I'm going to pop that on the screen right now. There you go. So the easiest one for this one, and this is because Travis and I are both, we're both Gravity Forms. Our recommendation is always going to be the user registration add-on from Gravity Forms, because it allows you to basically create a form to fill out and publish things. In this kind of situation, you want to make sure that the users aren't, typically in this one, you want to have it password activation, right? Send out a password activation link.
Well, you would want to have like pending activations enabled, so you can manually review.
Confirm. Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
But you can also, like, the power of it, like using Gravity Forms to do the user registration, is you could pair it up with a bunch of other stuff. Like if you wanted to have a payment be required before someone can be created as a user, that can be done. You could add them to a MailChimp list. There's tons of stuff you can do on top of registering that user. That's very powerful.
Yeah. And there are options for other plugins that can do this. Again, when you're doing form, what's our major restrictions when you're doing forms on the front end that could have the potential to be adding obviously writing users to your user database? There's some concerns there that you need to be aware of.
Just make sure you have like some anti-spam honeypots, so like the form's not being spammed. If you want to make it more limited, what you could do is have like an invitation code required to sign up, that like on the user registration feed, like you check to see if the invitation code matches before registering the user. The invitation code doesn't need to be unique. It can just be used as another like anti-spam check.
Yeah. Well, the question was like, I'd like to have a volunteer responsible for doing it. So my guess is that they're going to be doing it in batch. Like they're going to be adding a whole bunch of like people that either have already donated to a project or something of that nature, and is just going to be adding a whole bunch of users from the front end. I'm trying to sit there and think if there's any other good suggestions I'd give. I think the user registration add-on's the best solution on that one. You can do that with pods, but I'm not a fan of pods forms for things like creating users.
You could, and I don't know. I think, is WP All Import, do they have a free version or is it just paid?
No, there's a free version.
They have a free version. Yeah.
So if it's just one volunteer doing it, you could totally like add a list of all those users to a spreadsheet, and then use WP All Import to import that spreadsheet, map the spreadsheet columns to the user meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would work for me. I would suggest that, honestly, before doing something, because then you've got more control over what's actually happening to them.
Well, not even that. It's just like if all you're doing is like, if it's only one person that needs to just like create users in bulk, that can do it quickly.
Yeah. And that's WP All Import was the one. It's a plugin on the WordPress repository. They do have a pro version, which gives you a lot more control. It's pretty powerful. highly recommended. But as far as like
I didn't even know they had a pro version actually, because I've always.
Oh
Just
yeah,
used the-
the pro version is like primarily for doing WooCommerce imports
Oh.
and managing variable products and managing inventory and things along those lines. Where you've got a feed that's going to be regular, and you use WPL import to kind of like set it up the first time, and then you just let it sit and watch it, and it watches the feed from a inventory location.
Nice.
It's pretty powerful. Yeah, they've got a massive amounts of power in that plugin. It's a very powerful one. Okay. Hey, Anthony, the RSVP link is in the Meetup. It's actually listed. If you're on YouTube, the link to the Meetup is on the is listed in the YouTube description. But if you just post your question here, and we'll see it. But yeah, since you're already on the call live, just go ahead and post your question here, and we'll see it. That's the easiest way to deal with those. Okay, we have another one. Jennifer asks, let me go ahead and get this one real quick. Yeah. All right, Jennifer asks about Google Analytics, attaching Google Analytics to my site and making it searchable. I actually just did this while I was watching another stream. So Jennifer asked about attaching Google Analytics to my site and making it searchable. What I ended up doing for our Tampa Bay WordPress website was using, give me a second, I'll pull it up. Share screen. Chrome tab. I ended up using the Google Site Kit, which is by Google. And when you can actually install it from your plugins. Let me see where it is. Hang on one second. If you search for Google Site Kit, where did it go? Oh, I think it's Site Kit by Google. Yeah, that's it. That's Site Kit by Google. I need to update it apparently. It's Site Kit by Google. When you configure it, it will actually have you sign up and create all of your accounts while you're doing it. So it's a pretty straightforward process. That will get your Google Analytics key into your site and in the appropriate places, and it will also do the configuration for, let me show you on here. It will add the Search Console and all of the other fun little things as well that you need to, that they recommend you putting in, like page speed and stuff like that. I found it pretty straightforward as a process goes because all of it is handled within the browser. And the biggest stipulation is that the account that you use for your Google Site Kit, like this one here, has to be an admin on your website and the one that you're using when you're configuring it in order for it to work properly.
One caveat to note with SiteKit, if you're doing, if you have a staging site, you have a development site that you want to like test this out on, if you are behind basic authentication, you will not be able to configure Google SiteKit. Just
That's
so
right.
that,
It does require SSL, right? Yeah.
well, no, it just needs to be able to connect to the site in general. So if you have it hiding behind basic auth because it's a private site,
Yeah,
it won't be able to.
that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't do it on local. I did it. Well, I mean, why would you do Google Analytics on a site that you can't see?
Because maybe you're testing to see if you want to use Google SiteKit before actually installing it on your production site. Because you're looking for a solution, actually, to see about doing Google Analytics on your site.
Yeah, there you go. Now, as far as like making it searchable, typically that's going to be something that is either configured at the website level. That's under, where is that? Settings. Is it public or writing? Let's see. I think it's writing. Nope. Privacy. Where is that hidden at? It's been so long since I've been in there. I'm trying to find it.
What is it?
Where you make your site public. Ah, okay. There's a search engine visibility setting underneath reading. WordPress plugins, settings, reading. As long as you uncheck the discourage search engines from indexing the site, you will be indexed, whether you like it or not. So, if you want to control the indexing, then you're looking at something like Rank Math, Yoast SEO, all of the SEO plugins out there. so that you can have a little more control over how you are being indexed and what's being presented to those sites. Okay, let's jump over and ask one of the questions from our YouTube chat. Cheryl, since Anthony asked his first, so I'm going to put his first and then we'll go with yours. Okay, actually, you both did it at the exact same time. So, Cheryl, you're going first since you said you have a question. I'll pop it up there now. Okay. You have a client unhappy with the way a Gravity Forms registration form works on our site. The form requests credit card info, then each registrant has to enter the info again during PayPal checkout.
So if you're using PayPal checkout on your Gravity Forms form, you don't need to add a credit card field to your form.
Nope.
And
you shouldn't.
You shouldn't. Because you're
not at
collecting
all.
information you don't need.
Right. Yeah. You definitely do not want to put a credit card field on your form. I mean, if you were using PayPal Pro, the credit card field was a part of that, but all of the payment gateways now, the credit card field is being deprecated, and all of the Gravity Forms products at the moment, we pretty much have a Stripe field for Stripe,
it's either some
PayPal
field related to the payment gateway or like during the submission process, a like modal will pop up like for PayPal to do the checkout within PayPal.
Exactly.
But yeah, if that sounds like you have a credit card field on the form, which you should definitely remove.
Yeah. Cheryl, if you've got a question about that, go ahead and open a ticket since you actually have, it sounds like the client has an active license, and we can walk you through checking that out and getting it corrected. Okay? We're happy to help you at support. Okay? Anthony asks, when it comes to hiring a developer to either customize a plugin or build one from the ground up, how do you know you're getting quality coding, and what does it entail for constant updates? Travis, I'm going to let you run with that one.
Yeah, it's hard to like entirely know if you're getting quality coding. Like if you don't know how to recode and like you can't get in there to like actually see like, hey, are they like sanitizing all input? Are they escaping all output? Stuff like that. So the best route to go, in my opinion, would be to go to a service like Codable. And Codable has a vetting process. And Codable is like totally 100% WordPress developers that are like available as freelancers. And they do vetting for when they come onto the platform. Like they have to like fill out a bunch of information and actually do like a sample project that the people at Codable like look through their code and make sure that that stuff's good to go. And they have people with all kinds of expertise on Codable, whether it's like React, WooCommerce, Gravity Forms, ACF, pretty much any like major thing in the WordPress space, you'll find someone there for. And yeah, and as far as constant updates, it depends on if you mean like staying constantly updated with WordPress itself, or like just feature updates you need. If it's just staying updated with WordPress itself, generally like if you find a developer on Codable, they're making sure to use the WordPress APIs that are available correctly so that things won't fail as you update to new major versions of WordPress.
Good answer, I think. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't think of anything better on that one. Codable is a highly recommended.
I also can't think of any, at least that I know of like easily or somewhat reasonably priced services where you can get like a security audit done on your code.
Yeah.
Like I've had it done for my products, but it's like $1,500.
Yeah, that's really expensive. Yeah, that's really expensive. What you can do also is if you do know any people that actually work in the plugin space, you can have them look at the code sometimes. Some people are when they look at it. Advanced WordPress is a pretty good group for that, for dropping things onto their
You
Facebook
mean on
group.
Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook, Advanced WordPress. I think it's harder to get into that group now. Don't they require you to actually be met in person now, I think?
No,
I saw something recent. Oh, that was okay. I was wondering. I couldn't tell. It didn't look like April Fool's joke. They did. I completely believe them.
But yeah,
that's the
definitely
problem.
find, like,
Satire doesn't work anymore.
There's groups like that. There's groups like Post Status that has a very active Slack with people who are like very like
knowledgeable,
like, top tier WordPress developers. And if you find someone to take a look at it, like once you take within 30 seconds of looking at some code, you can tell very quickly if something's bad or not.
That's true. That is true. Okay, our next question is from J Money Bizags. I work in marketing in-house and oversee our WordPress site. The site was developed via agency and has a custom theme. I've been trying to update a header image through the appearance panel, but none of the options, example, customize site identity, header image, etc., seem to allow this to be updated. Typically, those particular things have to be actually activated inside the theme itself to allow them to be updated by those settings in WordPress. If those options are not active as part of the theme development, they're not going to be in there. Is there another area within WordPress that we should be looking in, or would this need to be pushed back to the agency for update? It needs
I would
to
be
pushed back to
pushing
the
it
agency.
back to the agency for updating because they don't have it hooked up correctly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the answer for that.
Yeah,
one.
that's.
Yeah. You especially
And
since it's an
and you
in-house.
would ask them to set it up to enable the user to change out the heading whenever they wish.
Yeah,
correct?
I'm trying to. I don't know where those particular. I don't do theme
That's what I
development,
would
so
do.
I'm trying to sit there and thinking what hooks are there available. But
It's
theme
not even
options-
necessarily the hook. They could be using a child theme of like maybe one of the core themes that implements it.
Template page.
But in
True.
their header template, like they're not implementing the customizations.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely wouldn't go with them and say like, hey, like I'm trying to upload this specific header image and it's not working. Because all they're going to do is like go in the theme real quick, update that header image, and they're not going to fix like the actual source of the problem, which is
Yeah.
you can't use the customizer to fix it.
Or tell them that you need to be able to update the header image,
Yeah.
and that would tell them that you need that functionality added to the theme.
Okay.
So that's again part of our working with with companies and plugin developers and things like that, being clear about your scope. So
But it's definitely a learning experience because like you'll know in the future like hey when like an agency sends over like a template to look at like you'll now think of like hey let me like try to change everything that I can and see what like doesn't change.
yeah. The things that you were required to, you need to be able to change. Yeah. Daniel Shootsmith, who is our lead organizer for Newport Richie, asks, has anyone tried playing with full site editing yet? Only have heard initial things about it, but know it's on the way pretty soon in core. I have not touched it at all. I have no feedback, nothing. I honestly, I can't even imagine, honestly. Just one of those kind of things. I can't even imagine. Because
no
they still
desire
have
to.
not they still have not fixed the media library or taxonomy screens or any of that stuff, and then they're going to go to full site editing. Yeah, come on, give me a break.
I don't think the post editor screen is where it needs to be.
No,
Honestly.
it's not. Yeah, it's not.
And I'm like going the other way from full site editing where like a lot of the pages on my site are just straight up hard coded HTML in WordPress St
Well,
files.
When it comes down to it, too, do you really need full site editing? I mean, think about it. It's like most of the stuff on a consistent website is going to be, your navigation menu should be in a regular place. They might be responsive, obviously, so they're going to be in different, presented differently depending on the size of the screen. But when it comes down to it, you're not going to be sitting there editing the menu on every single page. You edit it once and you're done. And same thing with like typically with your footers, I mean, you might want some customization there as to I want some control over what things may show up in the sidebar and what things may show up in the footer. But even I think most people have been getting away from being heavy with those areas of the site.
And like for myself, like the tier of project I work on, I want less editing, not more. I want to keep it very constrained. What can be changed because like I'm building something very specific that like yes I want like modification of the menu but I don't need you changing which menu is going to load, where the menu can go. No, you can just change the items in the menu, that's it.
Well, and a lot of it's about information design too, because you're designing, well, like in the case of like when you're doing a large site that has a lot of hooks and connections to it, it all comes down to consistent information design. And if you give your end users the ability to edit everything, they will. And that leads to a nightmare. And you don't need that. You need them to be able to focus on the content they actually need to be focusing on. And
I'm
that's
thinking
how I
of
look.
under what circumstances do you need this all,
Well, that's been the push of Beaver Builder and Divi especially and Elementor especially have very heavily pushed towards full site editing, especially the header and the menu and everything else like that. And I think they've done a lousy job on the most part for most of it. Because they keep calling everything templates, they keep calling things that aren't templates, and it gets, when you start using terminology that when you're working on a WordPress website start stepping on top of each other, it gets really confusing really fast. And I really wish that they would be more consistent about that. Okay, let's see. Where are we at now? We have gotten a lot of questions. This is good. Okay. Anthony asked a question that I'm not. Should I put that one out there, Travis?
Sure, because
Okay.
that's a discussion point.
Okay. Will Gravity Forms ever come out with a lifetime deal? I'm going to say no.
Gravity Forms in the past, when they started, licenses were lifetime. So those that were able to sign up early on, like in the first year or so, got a real good deal because they paid like $99 for a developer license, and now they have like unlimited sites for lifetime.
Ever.
Lifetime deals are tough.
Yeah.
Especially like, granted, Gravity Forms is a different space, or they've been around for a decade, but like you don't know really, at least when you're starting out, what the lifetime value is of a customer.
Yeah.
So you cannot judge like what that lifetime price should be.
Yeah.
I think
And when you're trying to sit there and
definitely-
determine prices, or when you're trying to like cover overhead and developer work and support work and all of that kind of stuff that has to go into a product, I would rather pay a monthly, an annual fee for something, and have support and know that my annual fee that I'm paying is going towards support and developer updates.
If you kind of pay attention, there's a growing trend out there, actually. I think WP signature is like the latest one that's like, hey, like our lifetime license is available through the end of April, and then we're taking it away. Like,
Generate Press is doing that as well. They're
Yeah.
doing a lifetime subscription deal for their premium version of their theme, but it is only available for the end of the year, and then they're done.
Yeah.
They're not going to be offering those again.
There's definitely a discussion to be had about like a lifetime license where it's like, hey, you get lifetime access to updates, but you have like 2 or 3 years of access to support, and then past that, if you need more support,
you pay
you'll have
for
to
it.
pay extra.
Yeah, that's what I would think would make more sense to me.
But also,
Okay.
when you're a company that's been around for a decade, you actually could, if you wanted to, calculate the average customer value. You know?
Anthony asked another question. Is there a way to customize a plugin in a way where it doesn't affect the core plugin? Kind of like the way child themes work when it comes to plugin updates. That's namespacing, isn't it?
The way to customize. There's filters. There's hooks that like that plugin can include. But no, namespacing wouldn't directly affect that. And you should never, ever update or manually modify plugin files. Because like you mentioned, like as soon as it updates, you've lost those modifications.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
You know?
good point. Yeah, typically the way, if you're going to be customizing an existing plugin, you need to be doing it through filters and hooks. Sorry, I completely read that the wrong way. I was reading that like creating a plugin, working on WordPress, and how do you keep it from stepping on top of everything else? How do you keep it from conflicting? That's where I was coming from. Sorry. Okay. Here, boy, we're getting some good questions. People are just really into it today. Anthony asks again, is there a way to measure the backend of WordPress plugin and its load time in terms of what plugins is causing the WordPress admin to load slowly, not only on the front end? Yeah, Query Optimizer?
Query Monitor.
Query Monitor. Yeah, hang on. I'll do a quick banner for that one because it's a useful one. I think it's, let me find the link over here. Query Monitor allows you to really very specifically thin down everything that's happening, and it shows it really in an efficient way. Highly recommend it. There you go. And there you go, Anthony. Query Monitor. Query Monitor. Monitor. Okay, let's get back to our chat. Let's see. Another Gravity Forms question from Anthony. Do you know if Gravity Forms scripts load on pages that Gravity Form is not being used on? And if so, is there a way to not have it load on pages that the shortcode is not being displayed or used? I think if you do it in non-conflict, it shouldn't load on any pages.
No.
It's not.
Conflict is like a backend thing.
That's right. Yeah.
It shouldn't be loading on pages. doesn't have access to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it is, and that's what you're seeing, open a sport ticket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
That's a much deeper question
Yeah.
than what we
Yeah.
can answer here.
Yeah, because it definitely should not be loading on pages that it actually isn't installed on, where you don't have the form installed or loading. Daniel asks, Page Builder community has become huge. I honestly think it might be getting larger than the amount of developers in WordPress. Yeah, Daniel, I totally agree with you. There has become a whole bunch of builders and not very many developers out there. And the worst thing is page builders think they actually know what they're doing. And I should stop myself. But the main thing I'm saying is that you need to understand how WordPress handles content and how it processes the theme hierarchy and how single detail pages are loaded, how archive pages are loaded, how all of those little pieces happen within WordPress and a theme before you dig heavily into page builders, because most people who jump into page builders don't understand any bit of that WordPress hierarchy. And if you don't understand that, you're going to start putting pages together and suddenly realize, oh, wait a minute, I really need to have a custom post type here. I really need to be doing, an archive view because I'm doing informational data design that needs, like, all of my realtor listings need to be identical. And instead I'm sitting here creating individual ones for each realtor listing. Looks like Travis is back. There we go.
I closed the wrong tab.
That happens. I've done it before myself. So, but yeah, that's my viewpoint on page builders, is that I would like there to be a theme or a WordPress 101 about understanding how WordPress works before you get heavily into developing sites using a page builder, because so many people are building sites and have no clue what they're doing, and then they blame everything on the plugin. And they're throwing 1,000 plugins at things to do stuff, and then they've got so many conflicts running, and all they're looking at is it's kitty ugly. So I don't know if Daniel feels the same way or not, but I'm sure you do. You're welcome to dial in, Daniel. There's a dial-in code. Hang on, let me link it again. Hang on. If anyone is interested in dialing in to ask questions, we are here, and you can dial into our call with this handy little dial-in link. ACF did the premium, did the unlimited initially, and then went to premium. The worst thing what ACF did was that they actually took functionality away when they went premium, and you can't do that. That's a bad thing.
You can, you shouldn't.
You can, but you shouldn't. Exactly. It burned them. They got burned by that. Have you guys played with the new Bricks theme builder? Anthony, I've never even heard of it. So, Bricks theme builder. That's the problem. There's so many out there, and they just keep popping up left and right. It's Theme Forest.
Bricksbuilder.io.
Oh, Bricksbuilder.io. Yeah, build WordPress sites that rank. Okay, that's your focus. Oh, we got Daniel popping in. I don't see any video on him yet. There he is. Hey, Daniel. We can't hear you yet. There you
How's
are.
it going?
Now you sound like a radio host. Now you sound better than me. Yep. You're a little bit slow though. You're a tad laggy on your video, which means you might have a great connection there. So, you're doing your. Oh, he's popped out again. We just lost him. We might get him back again. We'll see. I don't. It has one testimonial. Yeah.
I'm personally not crazy about like theme builders, theme frameworks in general.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, out of all of them, when I did the speed test as far as like the page load and everything against Gutenberg, the block editor, versus a page builder, I was pretty damn impressed with block editor. It at least is efficient in what it's delivering. So
for most things, you can get by with a block editor, honestly.
Yeah, you can. I think so. It's becoming easier to work with. Generate Blocks is a good one. And they're same thing. He focuses very heavily on speed and page loading. And he deliberately decided to focus on creating a. He decided to work with the block editor instead of coming up with a page builder that completely threw the block editor out the window. I mean, all of these page builders saw Gutenberg in the on the horizon. I would have thought that more of them would have actually tried to focus in that direction to some extent instead of going so short code heavy. But whatever.
But also, like, if you're making sites with custom themes that often, just start like with your own base theme. Like, do it by hand, and like as you continue on with each new project you do, you will slowly develop your own framework that works the way you need it to, that you understand inside and out, rather than being like, why is this thing loading in a weird way? And you don't know because you didn't write the framework that powered it.
Yeah, all of a sudden Elementor decides to update their framework, and then you're suddenly screwed because everything you've done is thrown out the window. Let's see.
Or as soon as you get used to it and you want it to do push it to do some more things, it's just people max it out because they always have more demands than what it was built for.
And I honestly think that Elementor is going to go the direction of completely trying to compete with WordPress.com, and they're gonna fork it, and they're gonna put it on their own servers, and they're gonna try to become a competitor, is what it comes down to. And I have a feeling that once they do that, they're not going to support their builder anymore. They're going to let that just go to the wayside, because all the money for them is in getting people to pay into their hosting sites. So just like WordPress.com is.
You don't really know until it happens.
Yeah, Squarespace, all of those guys. Any interesting plugins, tools, or other things on the web that we should check out? Good question. That's a...
Oops.
Oop. No problem. You want to mute yourself? You got it. Okay. I honestly haven't been playing with anything new lately, so I can't recommend anything at the moment. I know some Mac tools I've been playing with that are kind of fun, but that's only going to play for people who actually use the Mac, so it doesn't really apply to this call. Where's a good place to share a personal project I've been working on to get good feedback and exposure? Our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is pretty active. When people usually post a question there, you will get a review and some feedback pretty quickly. It also depends if you're doing something in a particular platform, like if you are doing page builder stuff like Elementor or Beaver Builder, the groups for those are really good for that. Generate Press has a very active theme community page for Generate Blocks and Generate Press, and a lot of people will actually post their work directly on there for feedback and review. But yeah, you can post it on our Facebook group. You can also post it on our Slack if you want less people to see it. So, and we'll give you feedback from there too.
And how can people find our Slack, Jim?
You can find our Slack by going to WordPress.org. Hang on, here we go. I'll load it back up again, and I'll share the page. Give me a second. Share screen. Chrome tab. I hear a kitty cat meowing. All right, we have connectwithtampabay.org, and if you go to the very top up here, you've got right here, join our Facebook group, join our Slack chat, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have the links up here in the menu. But if you go to Slack chat here, I'm clicking on the wrong screen. I was clicking on the... That was good. I was wondering why my mouse was not showing. I was clicking on the screen that we're watching the thing through. So if you click on Join Our Slack Chat, you'll get this wonderful little box pop up that says Join Tampa Bay WordPress on Slack. And it'll ask you to put in your email address, and you'll get an invite directly into our Slack chat. It's pretty straightforward. Okay? Easy peasy.
Thank you, Jim.
No problem, Elaine. Yeah. Daniel says he was too laggy, so he'll do Ethernet next time. Okay, let's see. They've got a discussion going on about Oxygen and other builders. I think we had another question in the meetup. We got a little crazy here and forgot about. There was one about e-commerce setup options by Teresa Sullivan, and we've had this question come up a couple of times. I think actually. We got 7:09. I think we got time for one more, and if there anything comes up through the thing. So when you're looking at, oh, that didn't really, I need to put a space before I paste those in so that it's the name and the person. Oh well, next time. When you're doing e-commerce setup options, we've talked about this a couple of times when we've talked about setting up a site. The biggest things we always recommend you do first is recognize how you're going to handle delivery of your product. But if you're just focusing on the e-commerce side of it, got to have SSL, got to have a secure site, and you want to use a trusted payment gateway like Stripe, PayPal Checkout, AuthorizeNet. But I honestly can tell you AuthorizeNet is ridiculously expensive when you add all the pieces together, because typically that's going to be, you've got to have a bank, you've got to have a credit card account, bank account that's separate from that, and internet. There's about 18 different things on a checklist to do an AuthorizeNet payment gateway the proper way, because you've got to be doing direct tunneling, and there's a whole bunch of nasty stuff that goes in there. Stripe is probably one of the easiest ones to configure. We've got SquareUp is also really good for that. Molly, if you're doing a lot of international stuff. Yeah, if you're doing international and need to have like every single payment gateway known to man or bank processor known to man, take a look at Molly. I like SquareUp. I like Stripe. I've looked at PayPal Checkout. PayPal Checkout's a little more restrictive. When you set up your account with them, you may be able to use subscriptions. You may not be authorized to use subscriptions. You may be authorized to use credit cards. You may not be authorized to use credit cards, depending on your business and what they determine on their side. Stripe is a little better about that. I've never
also
seen.
Figure out what kind of product you're selling. Maybe you don't need a full solution like WooCommerce. Maybe you can just get by with these digital downloads. Maybe you can get away with like a single form, like with Gravity Forms.
Mm-hmm. You know? Yep. Yeah. When it all comes down, and again, think about delivery methods and how you're going to be delivering your product, because the distribution piece, the shipping and handling, all of that can really add up. So you want to make sure that if you are going to be doing that, Jen, when she was on our call last time and talked about that, that's a big one. You want to actually create a relationship with FedEx and UPS and the USPS and figure out, how am I going to be packaging this? How am I going to be distributing it? What am I going to be using for my shipping costs and calculations and all that kind of stuff? Because all that stuff is hefty. All right. I don't think we have any more questions in the YouTube chat, and I'm not seeing any more in our Meetup. I don't think. I'm doing a refresh real quick. Yep, no more questions in the Meetup. Oh, we have a question come in from Anthony. Hang on. Hey, Anthony.
Hey.
Yep, we can hear you. There you go.
You guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. No more questions in the Meetup. You've got your channel with YouTube or Facebook is actually playing audio.
Let me mute that. Sorry. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. There you go.
Okay.
I think you got it.
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, you can hear you fine now.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. This next question that I had was more so it wouldn't fit the amount of characters I was going to ask in YouTube. So basically, I have a client of mine that had an interesting dilemma, and where they have a site. It's a ticketing site. It's a ticketing platform based in WordPress, and initially we were using a company called Modern Events Calendar, and it turned out that the amount of people that were interested in purchasing tickets became a lot. So it was almost overwhelming, and which is a good thing and a bad thing. And so the server couldn't handle that amount of users, with that activity, given the fact that, I built the site as lean as possible, but now I'm having to create a separate subdomain just for like the ticketing portion. So I guess my question is, how do you tie in the two? How would I tie in the two sites and kind of like almost make it like a single sign-on type deal from the regular domain to the subdomain?
Are they a multi-site configuration?
Yeah, I think I don't know if I want to do multi-site. Is there a way to keep it single site, but just
Not if you
subdomain?
want to
Well,
share.
hold
Not
on.
if you want to share. Oh, well, go ahead. Yeah.
Well,
If you.
before we dig into this, like the whole reason to separate out to a separate site is because of the high traffic at certain times when
Yes,
tickets
the
go on sale.
volume. Yeah, so we want them like they want the main site to remain operational without any problems, and then there's a ticketing site which that can be like on another server, like on AWS server that can handle like the elastic loading in terms of the spike in traffic. Because right now I think they're on a shared hosting, but if I can put the subdomain to like I said, the AWS server, then it can handle that load when something like that happens. But to be able
Do
to
the
Go
do
ahead.
the ticket registers need to actually have access to the main site? Are they actually logging into the main site at all?
Well, there's registration on both, right? So they can log in on the main site, but that's for different purposes. That's more like for community-driven purposes, like interacting
Mm.
with one another and also buying and reselling tickets. But the ticketing platform, Modern Event Calendar, just uses its own system, right? So I'm trying to
Oh, right.
separate the two, and
It doesn't have a. It doesn't have an
Well,
integration with the WordPress user database.
it does, but that's the problem. Like I said, I want to separate the two databases, but at the same time, make it so that anyone who signs up on the primary site will automatically get their information created on the ticketing site as well. So it's almost like sharing the two databases, but on two different sites, but one database with two different sites. If that
see,
makes sense.
I would go a different direction with this rather than separating them out into two sites. One, I would definitely like get them off the shared hosting, get them
Yeah.
onto something more performant. But and I wish I had like a specific service to like recommend for this. But there are plenty of sites out there that are implementing services that will like get in between the traffic, kind of like a Cloudflare.
Like
But what they do
CDN,
is
okay.
they queue up users. So they put
Yeah.
people who are like rapidly coming into the site into a queue, and then they slowly let them onto the main site.
Oh, wait, when you say queue on users, what happens? What does the user see when you say they're queuing the person?
So they would see something like, "Hey, there's heavy requests or heavy load volume right now. You are like 40th in line, and like the estimated time for you to be able to access is like 3 minutes."
Gotcha.
And so like
yeah.
the service will like slowly let people onto the actual site instead
yeah,
of like overwhelming the system.
Two things I forgot to mention. One, I misspoke earlier. Their shared server, they moved away from SiteGround. I stand corrected. They moved away SiteGround, and then they are now on AWS. So the entire site is on it. So they ended up going with a third party platform to host their events for now because they didn't know how to, there was no
Oh, like
kind of
Evite?
solution to this
Like
issue.
like Evite or one of those kind of setups.
Yeah, like it's just I can't remember the name of the company, but it's literally they have a subdomain set up, and the subdomain and DNS settings are going towards that company, and they're just kind of like offboarding the users. So whenever someone signs up, it's completely two different sites. But I skinned it in a way where that site looks a little
Yeah.
bit like their primary site, but you can definitely tell it's not the main thing. But we want to go back to using the modern event calendar. However, like I said, the issue arises where users were constantly hammering. And so here's the thing: with the nature of their business, the wait time in terms of like slowly putting them in queue may not be a good thing because that might raise a lot of concerns to the customers because it's like one of those tickets that you have to buy while it's hot and then they sell out. So if you're waiting in line, I think that might cause a lot of frustration or anxiety and a lot of
Even
users
Ticketmaster does that. So to that level, I mean, that same kind of setup.
Because it also like
Oh,
helps
with the-
alleviate that anxiety of like, hey, if somebody's able to refresh faster than me, like maybe they can buy
Yeah.
the ticket. When instead of like, hey, I'm in this queue because I showed up before someone else.
Oh,
like, it's
that's
just, like,
right.
standing
That's
in
true.
line. And I just
Yeah,
found one.
yeah.
It's called Traffic Defender. TrafficDefender.com. And yeah, like you just redirect. Like it happens through DNS, but like Traffic Defender just sits in the middle, and like if there's heavy traffic, and I imagine you can like set like what the load levels are and stuff. Like it'll just like automatically kick in if traffic gets super high, and it seems like they have like bot detection and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's the route. And hey, look at that! If their request pricing form uses Gravity Form, so I am gonna go ahead and recommend Traffic Defender. It seems like a good company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's an easier approach than trying to split the databases and like keep everything together.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes it more fair for the people buying.
Indeed.
Yeah. And then like if you find that like as tickets go on sale that the queue times are too high, you can start also scaling up the server slowly to kind of get to that nice middle ground. Of like the queue is long enough that like people don't like get shied away from buying, but also traffic's not getting too crazy that the server can't
Oh,
handle.
look. Ticketing case study. There you go. With a virtual waiting room to protect the uptime and performance of their ticketing platform. So there you go. That
But
made it
otherwise, like if you wanted to go the other route, definitely multi-site is going to be the easiest way to keep those users in sync between both.
Yeah.
So
And
both
the-
sites would have to be a multi-site, or
Yeah.
it would be just one giant multi-site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ticket site would be a child site.
Yeah.
Okay, well now we do that through the subdomain method or through the subdirectory method.
Depends if you
Whichever
want
you
it to be
prefer.
shop dot, or tickets dot blank, or if you want it to be the domain / tickets. They both work.
Is there an advantage over one over the other,
Not really.
doing domain versus doing the
No.
subdirectory?
As long as your website domain is actually included in your Google Analytics, you're going to get all the performance stuff. So it doesn't really matter one way or the other. I like Word dot domain stuff myself, but everybody does it differently.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on what you've got right now or what you had before. Like if you had them going to a subdirectory for tickets, then you would want to continue the subdirectory method. It's
Yeah.
just that when they go to the subdirectory, it's actually another installation of WordPress on another child site.
And then what happens in the actual database once a multi-site is spun up and created?
They share
Like-
users within one table, and the site itself is actually physically in separate databases. So
Well, the post-meta, like any plugins and stuff that create custom databases, they will have their own tables that are prefixed with the site number.
Got it.
hang on.
And then assuming that multi-site, the plugins would have to be compatible with multi-site in order for it to function correctly?
It would. Yeah.
Pretty much all of them are.
If it's
Okay.
if it's
Like
an
when-
enterprise level stuff, yeah.
Like if when a plugin goes to create a custom table, they're using the WPDB prefix variable, which inserts like
Right.
the database table prefix, which the WordPress database class will automatically add the proper like multi-site prefix.
Highly recommend this site. It's deliciousbrains.com/tour-WordPress-database. It's the ultimate developer's guide to the WordPress database. Their multi-site should be linked directly. Usually, they've changed this document, but I know they've got the multi-site version in here as well. If you look for it, so I'm trying to find it real quick for you. But it breaks down the full database structure. Ah, there it is. It's at the bottom. So yeah, WordPress multi-site database tour. And it walks you through the differences and everything. So really explains how all that stuff works and where it all goes together. Okay?
Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
so
no problem.
much.
Anytime.
Good luck, Anthony.
Anything else? Yeah, good luck, Anthony, definitely. Any other questions?
I do have one last question, and I'll end it with this. So I have another project that I
Daniel, real quick, Daniel
Go
had a
ahead.
comment on the directory method. There's an SEO advantage on the directory method. So, as far as
Okay,
like
good to
SEO
know.
indexing and stuff like that. So,
Right. Okay. Then I think I'll try to explore both. But on one of my personal projects that I'm trying to migrate the server, I didn't realize I didn't do one of those like database optimization, and I had a like a compression plugin that does compressing on images, And so what I didn't realize was that it was compressing the images, but then also storing it in a database. And my database turned out to be like 17 gigabyte
Holy
on
crap.
yeah. So
Wow.
it literally, I had like high res images, but it was automatically. I thought when it was compressing it, it was doing like a CDN thing. So I guess my question is, what's the best way to kind of like weed out what I need and what I don't in terms of um, without losing, because I want to migrate the server, but I can't migrate all 17 gigabytes. So if I can bring it down to like a couple of gigs, that might be doable. But um, any suggestions in terms of like making that process as painless as possible?
I have no feedback on that one. I've never seen one where they've thrown the images into the database.
And I don't think it's just images, but images is the biggest part of it. I
Did they
noticed.
do what? I mean, because it's where did they write it?
I'm
That
sorry.
would be
say
the
that again?
biggest. Where did they write it in the database? What tables?
So it's using the oh, hang on a second, let me pull it up.
Hey
I'll tell
Rick,
you
that's
what
the
plug.
link. I'm dropping it in the banner chat and the video as well, so that you guys know where the tour of the WordPress database is. Very good resource.
So it's WP Smush is the one that I'm using.
Oh, I hate
Uh,
that one. God, but it did. When I used it, it didn't write them into the database though. It just smushed them.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was the settings that I turned on, but when I looked at the database table, when I went into the cPanel and looked at all of the database line, I can see like 25 megabyte chunks, and it's like over 1,000 lines. And I was like, holy crap. And then I was using some type of database optimizer, but even then I get timeout errors because it can't load all of the table data. And so
Wow.
that's where I'm kind of stuck because I can't use a plugin to kind of help
Did
clean
you
that
do the
up.
premium version of it or over the counter one?
It was the premium version. I have a
Reach
subscription.
out to WPMU Dev and find out what the hell happened. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would do, because that's not supposed to happen. I can't even. I mean, the SQL database isn't designed to write blogged, or is it blob data? Is that what that's called? A
Yeah.
binary large object? Yeah, it's not designed for that. So doesn't even make sense. If you do need something that does like offload media, and you've already got a AWS, Delicious Brains has a plugin for that to offload your media manager. I think.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Your media library, I mean, is what it meant. It's called
Okay, because
WP
I,
Offload Media. Yeah, here you go. I'll link it in
yeah,
the URL. It's this
I
one.
was using Cloudflare, but
Mm.
that is also presenting some problems as well. Like I would get timeout
Yeah,
errors.
their offload media can offload your media to Amazon S3, DigitalOcean Spaces, or Google Cloud Storage, and serve it lightning fast with Amazon CloudFront or another CDN. So it integrates with all of those.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah. They're the guys behind WB Migrate Pro, which is one of the better migration utilities out there. Not the best, but a better one.
I would say
Bye,
it's the
Rick.
best.
Or bye, Daniel. Huh? Oh,
I would say it's the
there's a
best.
lot. There's becoming so many of them these days that I don't even know who to recommend anymore. So, well, we are at 7:28, folks. I think we have answered a lot of questions, and I think we're doing good. Anthony, we're going to drop you out of the call real quick.
Thank
And,
you guys again so
thank
much.
you for joining. Thank you for all the good questions too, and good luck.
Good luck.
All right, so we are WordPress Tampa Bay, wptampabay.org. That's our website. All of our videos are linked there. We also have a YouTube channel, so they're also uploaded there automatically. We have all of our prior talks that we've done, have the slides and the videos loaded within the website. Just do a search and you shall find them. Let me see. I didn't think, yeah, nobody else was asking questions. We're good. Just checking. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Click that little like button, the little thumbs up, or thumbs down if you hated us. I don't know, but please don't. Just do the thumbs up. Subscribe to our subscribe button and click the bell to be notified when new videos are added. We will be here again next month for a new talk. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and now that eligibility is open up, please go get vaccinated.
Yes, definitely. Take care of yourself. Do your research. Find out what you need to find out, and keep informed.
Sooner we all get vaccinated, sooner we can resume doing these in person.
And next month we are doing a panel talk, correct?
A panel, yes. Next month is a panel talk on working on projects. So, should be fun. Yeah. Thank you, Elaine and Travis, for joining the call and being my co-hosts on this. And thank you, everyone that asked questions tonight. We had a very busy call. I always love when we're worried that there's going to be nothing to talk about because there's 2 or 3 questions in Meetup. And then all of a sudden, kaboom, you guys give us tons of questions. It's wonderful. And you make us feel like we actually did our job today. Let me get my branding video ready to kick off. And I will say goodbye to everyone. We will see you in a month. Thank you for watching our recorded session from WordPress St. Pete Meetup. We meet twice a month on the first and third Tuesdays in downtown St. Pete at the Suncoast Developers Guild. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube and be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new videos are added. Find out more about WordPress St. Petersburg at our website at wptampabay.org.